Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, is Nick Saban now the GOAT of college football? Did Bill Belichick really sabotage the Jimmy G trade? Would Dr. Martin Luther King agree with the kneeling issue in the NFL? Is Tom Brady ready to weather the storm with rumors swirling in New England? And with LeBron and the Cavaliers struggling, is it time to panic in Cleveland? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We're live from Los Angeles. I'm Joy Taylor here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Skip. How you doing this morning, Skip? How you doing, Skip?
It's your morning. Do what you do.
Say.
What did the internet tell you to do
Hold on,
today?
Skip. I got you something, Skip. Skip, I drove all over L.A., Joy.
Yeah.
Honestly, with the hoarding that you're doing of this, LA is not. There's not gonna be any party materials left for everyone else in
One
LA.
more thing, Skip, man.
I don't want one.
Got one of these creams, but Joy get it. See, Joy, let me get some Joy. Joy, get them creams with your boy.
I mean, that was some game.
Ooh, Skip. Oh, say Nick did it.
Yeah.
Say Nick did his thing, Skip.
He lucked into it.
Don't do that,
I'll give
Skip.
you that.
Skip, don't do him like that.
Yeah.
I am proud of you, though, Shannon. You finally actually opened the bottle and poured it into a glass. He's progressing, Skip. Just showing the bottle off now.
I got Skip. Me and you will hit this after the show. Me and Skip go hit
I'll
this
let
thing
you
after
hit it by yourself.
Me and Skip go hit this thing after the show.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Joe, ask me a question. Anytime you want.
It's a great day for you because it's raining in LA.
Yeah. Well,
Raining in L.A.
it's going to put those miles right out.
No.
You realize that?
I had to come out the woods. I went back in the woods last night, Joe.
Yeah.
It was raining. A little break in the weather.
Yeah.
Skip, you like my little ensemble here?
Let's see. That means roll of toilet paper tied. I get it.
Yeah. Skip.
They're kind of toilet paper. It's okay.
What should I
get
do?
it.
Should I go slow? Or should I speed this thing?
Or do it in reverse.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Let me get some, Skip.
How are you?
Show it. That was a good game, Joe.
It was a great game.
It was a great game.
Let's get
I'll give you
started.
that.
Let's talk about it. Last night's classic national championship game. Alabama was down by 13 at halftime to Georgia, so Nick Saban made the bold move to replace Jalen Hurts with true freshman Tua Tagovailoa. He threw 3 touchdown passes, including the game-tying touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And the game winner in overtime, it was Nick Saban's 6th national title, tying Bear Bryant for the most ever. Here's Saban on his quarterback decision.
I just didn't feel like we could run the ball well enough, and I thought Tua would give us a better chance and a spark, which he certainly did. And, I couldn't be prouder of him taking advantage of the opportunity. We have total confidence in him. We played him a lot in a lot of games this year, and he did very well, and he certainly did a great job tonight.
After the sack, we just got up, just took it the next play. And throughout that process, we got the ball. It looked like they were running 2 trap. The corner trapped on that single receiver side, and I held the safety in the middle as the over was coming. And I looked back out, and he was wide open. I don't know how Coach Saban found me all the way in Hawaii from Alabama, so I just thank God he found me, and, we're here right now.
Shannon, what happened last night?
What happened?
I know Nick happened. Go ahead.
know what
Just say
happened.
it. Say Nick happened.
Saint Nick.
Yeah. Saint Nick happened.
Moving forward, you're no longer allowed to say ain't Nick.
Oh,
Because
see about that.
all I know,
Yeah.
he got 5 of these in 9 years. There's only like 5 schools that got that many total or more. But that's neither here nor there. St. Nick, what happened? No other coach is winning that game except Nick Saban.
Really?
You know why? Because no other coach will do what he did. Jalen Hurts was the first freshman to win SEC Offensive Player of the Year since Herschel Walker in 1980. So that's what he's regarded. He's special. 25-2 got him to back-to-back national championships. And at the half, Coach Saban says, I've seen enough. He brings a true freshman off the bench. Skip, I watched him play. I watched all the Alabama games. And I watched him throw the ball. He had 53 pass attempts, 8 touchdowns. But I'm saying to myself, is this kid really that good? Or is he's in mop-up duty? Is Mercer, is some of these lesser tier SEC school? Is he really that good? Because he can really spin the ball. I don't know. I said, well, we'll never find out. Not this year. And old St. Nick saying this, hey, Tua Tagovailoa, get your fastball ready. You and I both know, had Jalen Hurts stayed in that game, they were not winning that game. only Nick Saban is making that move with a guy as decorated as him. You know why he made that move, Skip? Because he has freshmen on the bench. His freshman on the bench is a top 5. His backups would be a top 5 team in the NCAA.
That is correct.
But they're backups at Alabama. Ooh. You keep telling me you lame these games. He gave up this many yards to Chad Kelly. What about Trevor Knight? What about this?
What about Johnny Manziel? What about Deshaun Watson? I could go on and
But
on. What about Ezekiel Elliott? 230 yards rushing.
But in the national championship game, when Georgia was having their way, they put Tua in. It's Tua from here on out.
You can go with Tua.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Tua.
It's Tua from here on out. Skip, what happened is that Coach Saban saw what happened last year is that they kept going 3 and out. It was wearing his defense down. Coach Saban says, if I can just get a couple of first downs, if I can give my defense just enough rest, let alone get a touchdown, and boy, that defense started rolling. The last 22 minutes of the ball game, you'll get nothing. Interception, punt. Skip, think about this now. Tua comes in, throws a touchdown.
Yep.
It's 13-7.
Yep.
Alabama on 3rd and 11. Not Alabama. Georgia comes right back. 80-yard touchdown. Now they're up 20-7. Tua comes in. All the receivers are blocking. He throws a pick. Everybody's saying it's over now. Coach Saban said, no, it ain't. Coach Saban said, no, it ain't. He said, hey, guy.
I'm not sure everybody said it was over.
Stop it, Skip. Everybody said it was over.
How do you know? You don't even turn up the sound.
I know.
What are you doing? Looking at Twitter? I don't know.
No, Skip. Coach Saban called him over to the sideline and said, guys, this is where we make our stand. This is our Waterloo. He said, okay. Woo, Skip.
He used Waterloo.
Yeah, he said, this is our moment.
Kids had no idea what he was talking about.
They at Alabama. They smart. They could go anywhere in the country, but they chose Alabama. They could be at Harvard or Stanford or MIT, but they choose that factory.
Yeah.
Chose that factory that is Alabama.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Fromm makes the mistake, and
all of a sudden he made a mistake on the next play.
That's what we do.
Did Nick call that shot?
Raekwon Davis.
He did.
Alabama D-line got
Wait,
the best
you know what?
football.
Nick called the play that put the Alabama helmet right in the way of the awful pass that Jake Fromm attempted. Way to go.
Skip, don't
Same
do
Nick.
that, Skip.
I'm just saying.
The man was down with that offense, 13-0.
Yeah.
That's like being down 21-0 with Oklahoma's offense, one of these up-and-down aerial assaults. Skip, you saw Jalen Hurts in the first half. You know it. Deep down, and you're going to say it right here today. Alabama's not winning that game if Jalen Hurts stays at starting quarterback. You know that. I know that. But the only person that needed to know that was Nick Saban. He realized that. He inserted Tua into the lineup, and look at the spark. Ooh, that defense started rallying. They started hunting. Turn them loose. Turn them loose, Jeremy Pruitt. Let them hunt. Georgia got a good team. You're 70 miles from where you normally play. You're in the Georgia Dome, Atlanta. The crowd is raucous. But the one thing I tell you about Coach Saban, he'll go anywhere, anytime, and play anybody and put foots in them like he did his old assistant, Kirby Smart. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Now, you might get a job working under Nick Saban. You might go somewhere. You go to Georgia. Jeremy Pruitt going to be at Tennessee. He got Coach Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. But you better not put him on your schedule because he's going to put foots in you for whether it's be a regular season game or for the national title. I ain't got no more to say about this history.
Really? You mean it's almost my turn?
It's all your hey, Skip, I was on these things hard last night, Joe. I was so I couldn't sleep a wink. I didn't sleep a wink, Skip Baylor. You know, my eye red. But I had, a little hen, popped a few gummies, popped the gummies in that thing.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Joy, see how he's trying to kill the clock and hang on to the football because he knows the storm is coming from across the table.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'm going to say up front, and it's not about your question, it's just what's in my gut today. I'm going to say it one more time. Alabama did not belong in these playoffs. Ohio State belonged in these playoffs. And Nick Saban, to his credit, was able to use that backlash against Alabama as us against the world motivation in the Clemson game, which they won, which was far more impressive to me than the win last night against a Georgia team they should have beaten soundly last night because it's a meat and potatoes running team, which they can stop with a freshman quarterback.
What's Alabama? A meat and potatoes running attack?
No, they're
with
not with Tua in the game.
Oh,
So now let's get to credit. How much credit does Nick deserve? Well, he deserves a measure of credit here, but not as much as you just gave him because all of the ESPN commentators were aware from the Alabama coaches and probably from Nick himself all week long that it was going to be a quick hook on Jalen Hurts. All of them said it. You could hear Kirk Herbstreit even going into halftime. He had obviously been told that, I'm assuming by Nick himself,
Correct.
that it's going to be a short leash, quick hook on Jalen Hurts because he struggles to throw the football.
Correct.
Now, if I had been coach, and I'm obviously not Nick Saban, I would have given Jalen Hurts, I just think he earned at 25-2 one more series in the third quarter.
He got to the half.
Okay, well, that's what I would have done personally, but bully for Nick Saban. He went to the other kid because all the coaches have been telling all the ESPN commentators all week long that the other kid was just lighting it up in practice. And what was the word Kirk Herbstreit used on the telecast? He is special.
Yeah.
He is a special thrower of the football. How did I know that? Well, remember the game? Vanderbilt, it was at Vanderbilt against Alabama. Well, Tua got in that game pretty early because it got way out of hand. And this was the play of the year. This is how I knew Tua and how I knew Devontae Smith, too. This was the 360 spin. This is the play of the year. He spun 360 in the pocket and whipped it. Guess who that is? That was Devontae Smith. This freshman to freshman. And it was fortuitous. You know, it was shades of things to come. You could see it coming because those are two freshmen who were going to go win the national championship. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you can argue the national championship was won when Tua, shockingly, up against the recruiting deadline, the signing day, he was going to go to USC, or we had Jimmy Moore on yesterday, or UCLA because they had Marcus Tuiasosopo on their staff, and he's from St. Louis High School where Mariota went in Hawaii in Honolulu, and it looked like he was bound for either USC or UCLA, and at the last second he makes one visit to Alabama and says, I belong at Alabama, and there's nothing shady going on. I just think he's a smaller town kid, and he and his family love Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
It's a church-going community, and they felt very comfortable, and they all moved. The whole family moved, and you could say that decision made by that 18-year-old.
They'll never have to pay mortgage or buy a meal again in Alabama.
Well, you know what? After that throw. But the shock to me was that after the game, Nick is saying, we knew we couldn't run on Georgia. You couldn't run on Georgia? I mean, Oklahoma ran for 242 yards on Georgia. Rodney Anderson ran for 201 yards on Georgia. Are you kidding me?
Why could they run?
What?
Because Baker Mayfield had the threat of being able to throw the football.
Okay, and for the record, my Oklahoma Sooners scored 31 in the first half on that Georgia defense. 31. Yeah. And again, Jalen Hurts, God bless him. Yeah. He scored 0 in the first half. Yeah. 31 by Oklahoma, 0 by Alabama. So obviously this is desperation.
Are you comparing Jalen Hurts to Baker Mayfield?
No, I'm just saying I'm comparing the offense versus the offense. Because, listen, Rodney Anderson, I told you going into the game, he is a stud. He's got some Todd Gurley in him. So against Georgia, he went for 201. And Bama's got all those backs, and Nick is saying after the game, we knew we couldn't run on Georgia. Are you kidding?
Because what is Nick Saban? Kirby Smart is a disciple of Nick Saban. The one thing that you do well, if it's running the football, he will take that away from you. You must present the ability to throw the football. Now, I remind you, Skip, also against Oklahoma, Georgia had two backs to go well over 100 yards rushing. They had over 500 yards.
I'm not talking about Oklahoma's defense. It's terrible.
Okay.
I'm just talking about Oklahoma's offense against the vaunted Georgia defense. Well, don't give me what a big deal this was. The Georgia defense is torchable. I mean, look at the yards. Oklahoma put up 531 total yards on the Georgia defense.
What did Georgia?
This should have been happening in the first half, obviously, and Jalen was not making it. He only threw 8 balls, but he missed Calvin Ridley on the first one. It's wide open. That's a turning point for him in his career because Nick's like, okay, that's it. That's enough. Right?
I let him celebrate last night, but Jalen Hurts got to make a very tough decision.
He does.
He either switch positions
I
or he
agree.
transfers.
He's going to have to transfer. I just think he's going to have to transfer.
But Skip.
And by the way, he did play in the national championship last year, and he played okay. I mean, they came within one play to Hunter Renfrow of winning the game.
If he could throw pass, if he could throw a little bit, and that's what Coach Saban saw.
I'm
Look at the guys that Coach Saban has won national championship with: Matt Flynn, A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker.
So let's not go too overboard on how well Tua did because he came in the first series, he goes 3 and out and looks a little shaky. And then the second series, I'm thinking, is he going to go back to Jalen Hurts here because it got to 3rd and 7? If we could see this play, this is the play of the game. For Tua, this is it, man, because you're do or die.
Because he's not going for it on 4th.
He's
they got him
scrambling to his right. He's dead to rights. He's dead to... Wait a minute. Wait. He escapes the other way. Wow. He's escapability. Oh, and he gets the first down. And that's when I said, uh-oh, because he's about 6'1", 215. He's stoutly built, and he can just move around. He looks shorter than he's 6'1", so he's got enough height, and the delivery is so compact, I can't even see the ball come out. And it looks like it's not coming out high enough, like it's coming from about shoulder.
But he can spin it. You see the rotation on that ball, Skip?
Oh, whoa. I mean,
Ain't no wobble to that.
I saw it against Vanderbilt because he threw 2 late touchdown passes. I said, wow, that's way beyond anything Jalen Hurts is capable of. But then he throws the interception you brought up, and it turns right around to Jake Fromm. And listen, Jake Fromm is also a true freshman.
Yes.
Do I think Jake Fromm's going to be a big NFL player? I do not. He's not accurate enough. And he hit half his passes last night, and he did throw for 200-something. But still, is he going to be an NFL passer? I don't think so. So he turns right around. They had the ball and a 20-7 lead on the Alabama 39. Do you realize what happens if they even get 3? If they go up 23-7, it would feel over. And if he goes and gets 7, it's way over.
Yeah.
And instead, on the first play, he hits an Alabama player on the helmet, and it bounces up in the air, intercepted. Wow. Well, then the whole game just turns on its ear, right?
Yeah.
So then, again, to put Tua back in perspective, so what happens on the play before the play? He makes an all-time dumb freshman mistake because obviously his kicker can't kick.
Right.
He's gone completely south mentally. That's why I hate field goal kicking. I hated it for your sake and all of Alabama's sake that he missed the one that should have won the game because those kids fight their guts out for all those for a whole national championship game, and then he trots on the field and blows it.
I thought they had lost the game, Skip. Can you imagine the emotional
No,
letdown?
it's terrible.
Because you've done everything. You've scratched and clawed your way back into the game. You've done everything. You marched it around. You put it, okay, where you want it, son. Put it right here.
Yeah.
And then he shanks it.
No, he duck hooked. It was just a snap hook left. And that's when that happens, and he'd already missed one before, obviously.
Yes.
Then he's shot mentally.
Yeah.
So you're going into overtime. You better go get 7.
Yeah,
you better because you can't put him out there again, right?
And the thing is, Skip, they sacked Tua on the first play.
Yeah.
So now it's second and 26.
It's minus 16. It's second and 26. You're looking at best, a
50-yard field goal.
Yeah, like a 50-yard field goal. That's what you're looking at. What are the odds?
Not very. With that kicker,
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
0.
Seriously, 0.
There's no chance.
So it's second and 26 from the 41-yard line. And what happens? Georgia is playing straight cover 2 with deep safeties.
It's
textbook cover 2 with, and on that side, it's the single receiver side with a true freshman in Devontae Smith against 2 seniors. One started 53 games, and he's standing on the hash mark, and he's the safety, Sanders. And then over here, Parrish has started 43 games? Yeah, 43 games. So you got high starts. They've been starting their whole careers at Georgia.
Yes.
And what does the freshman quarterback do? He tries the one pass all young quarterbacks are told, you can't do that. You can't throw it up the boundary against cover 2 because the safety's going to get there.
Right.
But what did he do? He threw a rope. He didn't throw a rainbow. He threw a rope, right?
Right.
And not many would have the arm strength or the guts to throw that ball because you have to throw it on a line or the safety's just going to get there and knock it down or intercept it.
Georgia is in the perfect coverage. You got second and 26.
Yeah.
What the corner should have done is put his hands on him and ride him because there's no one threatening the flat. So there's nothing to hold him. So he can ride him as long as he wants to because there's nothing to hold the flat.
Remember, there's trips receivers the other way. So you got a single receiver on your side. And you're a senior cornerback.
So you can ride him down. At the snap of the ball, the safety has to get wide because the only throw that can hurt you is a rail throw up the side. That's the only one that can get you.
Yeah.
Skip, look at who they're counting on. These are true freshmen. If Coach Saban, if you ask Coach Saban at the beginning of the season or even after they beat Clemson, he's not going to say, Tua comes in. Then you get Henry Buggs, you get Devontae Smith, Skip, Najee Harris. Skip, he didn't even have to run the ball. It was Scarborough and the other Harris that was running the football. Coach Saban brings this.
But Najee Harris is a true freshman.
He's the number 1 recruit in the country last year.
I'm just saying, but they got true freshmen all over the field now. Late in the game, he went with all true freshmen.
And you know why? These guys go. The reason why their freshmen perform is that they go to Alabama knowing that every game they play is a big game. And they're competing. Like I said, you're going against guys that's going to the NFL this year or the following year after year after. Skip, that's a reason nobody reaches their senior year because these young boys coming in, they hungry. And
Yeah.
when they, because
But I heard Greg McElroy, who wasn't at Alabama that long ago, say on ESPN this morning, when he was there as the quarterback, if you saw a true freshman on the field, it was just only because there was a catastrophic injury. And last night, it wasn't about injury, it was about performance.
Yeah.
So this class is special, man,
Yeah.
because the coaches are seeing in practice, wait, these kids are just better than the older kids, right?
Skip, think about it. Alvin Kamara, who's probably
Yeah.
going to be Offensive Player of the Year,
Yep.
had to transfer because he couldn't get carries behind Derrick Henry.
That's
So
correct.
you think about this. They go Eddie Lacy, they
Yeah.
go Richardson, they go Yeldon, they go Drake, they go Mark Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
Skip, you got to leave because these young boys hungry. You might be on the bench the next year. Just like Jalen Hurts. Look how this happened, Skip. The guy lost one game last year. He goes back to the national championship game. He's going to have to transfer or
He's
switch
gotta
positions.
transfer. I would
Skip,
agree.
these guys, I mean, they lose their all-conference left tackle.
Yep.
They bring another true freshman in, Alex Leatherwood. Skip and don't miss a beat. They don't miss a beat.
So Nick's a great recruiter, but you can't give him great coach because
he's great coach.
he's got by far the best talent.
No, you got to put him in place.
They should have won this game going away.
Look at Ohio State. You see? You didn't say nothing. You didn't say nothing when Ohio State won, when they had Zeke and Joey Bosa and all those first-round picks. You said, oh, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, I coach Nick Saban. What about that talent? He had the 3rd and the 4th picks in the draft. You don't want to talk about that, do you?
No, I'll talk about that. But I talk about this with Nick every year. That they're like the biggest pipeline to the
That's
NFL
right.
going. I mean, every year they got the #1 recruiting
That's
class,
right.
and they got it again this year.
No, Georgia got it. But here's
I
the
think
Skip.
they got it, didn't
Skip.
they? By some services.
When Coach Saban comes to your mom or your grandma's house, he sits down on the couch. He said, your son is good enough to go play in the NFL. He says, now, this is what I can assure your son. He can get a great education at Alabama. He's going to play for the SEC title. He's going to make the college playoff, and he's going to play for a national title. And he's going to go to the NFL. I would like the opportunity to help your son get there. Baby, sign that paper.
You should be recruiting.
They
for
say, baby,
Alabama.
sign that paper. Because they know Coach Saban going to
Right.
deliver.
Coach Saban
He
should hire
can
you.
just take the recruiting season off and just send you.
No.
Yeah. And by the way, I always forget. Which year did you graduate from Alabama?
I don't worry about that. Hey, Skip,
Yeah.
why you
But
do
just
me like that?
don't bring those because the parents aren't going to like that.
Hey,
No, that's true. They will.
hey, we got big Victor cigars because you're going to be a top 10 pick.
So you have no connection to Alabama. You actually grew up in Georgia.
I grew up in rural South Georgia.
And for a while, it looked like you were going to go to the University of
Yes.
Georgia, but now you ride the bandwagon. You drive the bandwagon for St. Nick, right?
Skip,
I don't get it.
Skip, I was never a Georgia fan, Skip. Now, look, my pharmacist, Dennis Strickland, he called me early. He texted me early this morning. He's like, you was right. He said, I should have known. Once you said you were going with Alabama, I should have went with Alabama.
Everybody went with Alabama.
But
Everybody picked
graduated-
Alabama. Who didn't?
Dennis graduated from Georgia, so he couldn't go.
Well,
But Skip,
I mean, that stadium was like 70%.
Yeah!
So.
yeah, I can assure you, when they said the college football playoff championship game was going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, they didn't anticipate the Georgia Bulldogs being in it. But we can't help who's going to be in it. Coach Saban going to play wherever you want to play. Skip,
I
where
thought
you
it
want
was
to
the Alabama Invitational.
That would, Skip. I'm tired of Coach Saban. You want to take a year off? He'll be back again next year. Because guess what?
Well, they're already
Who's
favored. They're already favored at
What?
21 there next year.
Well,
We
they
mentioned
should be.
that class, so.
Well, I mean, my God.
Yeah.
It's over.
We about
We
to-
should just call it off.
You should.
Yeah, call it off.
You should call it
You know,
off.
just take next year off college
No.
football because it's over.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe, no doubt.
I got to be a little petty, though. What is it with these Atlanta teams and these leads, huh?
Yeah. But we go.
No lead is large enough.
The Falcons gonna get retribution.
Oh, really? Oh, you're back
Retribution.
on that bandwagon too. So you've jumped from Seattle to New Orleans
Coach Saban,
to
if
now
you want-
Atlanta
If Coach
Oh,
Saban,
you forgot Philadelphia.
and Philadelphia. I'm sorry.
Coach Saban, if you want me to come talk to your team, just holler at your boy.
No mercy.
Jimmy Garoppolo is a 49er, but there are questions in Cleveland as to why he's not a Brown. The Cleveland Plain Dealer reports the Browns were willing to offer the Patriots a first-round pick for Garoppolo before the trade deadline in October. The pick was the one Cleveland got from the Texans, which turned out to be the 4th overall pick. The Browns were told Jimmy G was not available, but 2 days later, he got traded to the 49ers for just a second-round pick. Shannon, what does this tell you?
What this tells me, Skip, you remember when Coach Belichick, when the Patriots finally traded Jimmy, he spoke in such glowing terms of Jimmy Garoppolo, so it lets you know what he thought. Just a little context. This article says that Coach Belichick wanted Jimmy Garoppolo out of the AFC. He thought so much of Jimmy Garoppolo, he wanted him out of the AFC. He thought so little of Drew Bledsoe, he traded him within the division. Now, he had an opportunity to get a first-round pick. Now, he didn't know it. You're going to trade with Cleveland, who was getting the Houston Texans pick. Now, at the time, they were rolling along pretty well, so it could have been somewhere between 20 and 30, let's just say for the sake of argument. But, Skip, you never know. Because when the Brooklyn Nets traded for Paul Pierce and KG, everybody thought they were going to be going to finals, and that was going to be a terrible pick. Lo and behold, it became the first pick. It could possibly be the first pick in the draft. And that's what happened. So you never know what that pick will become. Mr. Kraft ordered the code red. He ordered that Coach Belichick move Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no other explanation. It says a first and something else.
Yeah.
That might have been a first and a second, a first and a third.
Throw in some goodies.
Yeah. So, and he just, no negotiation. Now, the article that Seth Rickersham wrote, there was no negotiation. Hey, y'all want Jimmy Garoppolo? Give us a second and you can have it. Really? Now, like I said, Coach Belichick, we know, Skip, every scenario that they've gone through on the field, when they get off after the game and they're talking about it, they say, we practice that play. We rehearse this situation, so we're prepared for it. This man leaves no stone unturned. For him to do this, Mr. Kraft ordered the code red. He's upset because now I found it very interesting that Coach Belichick said yesterday he hadn't read the article, but Mr. Kraft, Coach Belichick, and Tom Brady issued a joint statement together. Why are you issuing a statement when you don't know what's being reported?
And they said it's full of fallacies, exaggeration.
How you know he hadn't read the story? How he know?
He put his name on that statement.
How do you know?
I don't know.
This is a problem. And we're going to talk about Tom Brady a little later. The Patriots don't comment on anything. They'll never comment. And for the report to be so in-depth about the Patriots and the inner workings and what transpired, I'm not saying everything is true, but there's a lot of truth to this story. Mr. Kraft knows it, Coach Belichick knows it, and Tom Brady knows it. Because Coach Belichick looks like the sympathetic figure in all this.
Yep.
Because it looks like Tom Brady was really petty and fearful of his job, and he wanted his successor, the young male that's coming up to challenge him for supremacy, he wanted him jettisoned. And Mr. Kraft acquiesced because of the bond and the friendship and the relationship that he had with Tom Brady. There's no question in my mind. I'm not saying everything that Seth wrote is absolute true, but there's so much truth to this. Skip, you're not trading this guy. You've held on to him for this long. You had an opportunity in the offseason to trade him. 2 days before the trade deadline, you said he wasn't available, and then you traded? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of truth to this thing, Skip. I don't know how it's going to work out for you, boys.
Agree. And by the way, Robert Kraft didn't just choose Tom Brady because he's like a son to Robert Kraft. He opted for Tom Brady because he's won 5 Super Bowls and has guaranteed Mr. Kraft, I'm going to play until I'm 45. And Bob Kraft bought that.
Yes.
And he chose quarterback over coach. And now it's down to the coach. And what does he always say to all of his players? It's all about do your job. But Coach Belichick did not do his job to the best of his abilities to help the football team when it came to the trade deadline.
Correct.
The mandate clearly had been issued. And by the way, Deshaun Watson had just gone down that week before the trade deadline. So the Houston Texans are sitting at 3-4 because they'd lost at Foxborough.
Right.
And if he goes down, Belichick, nobody's fool, has to project out, Tom Savage, I don't know. They've had injuries on defense. I don't know. They don't have J.J. Watt. I don't know.
Went merciless.
You could project that they'd finish.
Top 10 pick.
Yeah, right. And they finished 4-12, and it's the 4th overall. So you could say, man, that pick's going to get more and more valuable by the week. And it did. So Belichick treated Jimmy G like a son because I do think he loved him like a son.
Absolutely.
And he has an affinity for him because he picked him and he groomed him. He coached him. He got him to a level where he knew he was pretty to very good. He's somewhere in there where he's going to be really good. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to send him to quarterback hell, even though you can say what's in the AFC. But come on, it's quarterback hell. I'm not going to do that to this kid, but I am going to send him to a young coach that I love because I loved his father, Mike Shannon. And I loved me some Kyle Shanahan because they sat, as it was reported in the piece by Seth Wickersham, at the Combine, and they went over everything that happened and didn't happen for the Falcons when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator in the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So now Kyle's the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, along with John Lynch, who's eminently likable and respected.
Yes.
And Coach Belichick is saying, man, Jimmy could have pretty quick success there. And maybe it's even more quick success than he even thought. But that only makes Bill Belichick look better and better,
Correct.
right? Doesn't help the Patriots at all because you called, and it wasn't, to your point, a negotiation. It was a flat-out offer, according to all the reports. A phone call. Would you give me a 2 for Jimmy G? Yeah, we'll do that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's shocking. It's good. It could turn out to be the steal of the century, right? Depending on how well he plays next year, but he's off to a rip-roaring start in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So, in the end, Robert Kraft is saying all the right things. They're closing ranks. United we stand. And I'm fine with that because that's how Patriots, that's how they do business.
Correct.
But privately, Robert Kraft has to be outraged over what Bill Belichick did to his franchise. Not only did he give away the third-string quarterback, who was a starting quarterback all year in Indianapolis, but he gave away Jimmy G and left the cupboard bare at quarterback. Now, they did get Brian Hoyer back, and to be fair, that was part of the deal, but still, okay, they're saying, you know, that was Mr. Kraft saying that's part of it. We did get a Brian Hoyer who's an established veteran backup quarterback.
This is what we know about Coach Belichick. Yeah. Coach Belichick was willing to hitch his wagon to a rocket that's taking off as opposed to one that's entering, about to land.
Correct.
There's nothing we can do. Tom Brady is what he is. He's accomplished what he's accomplished. But Coach Belichick saying moving forward after this season, I would rather have 12 to 13 years of Jimmy as opposed to one of Tom Brady.
All right.
Mr. Kraft says, I'd rather have one of Tom Brady, and I expect you to go into the draft, get a quarterback, groom him just like you did Jimmy G, and let's go win some more championships.
Here we go again. And Bill Belichick said, mandate this.
Yes.
And he sabotaged the near future of this team, I believe.
Coach Belichick learned a lot from Coach Parcells. The one thing that Coach Parcells and Mr. Kraft fell out for, Coach Parcells used the term, he won't let me shop for the groceries. He want me to do the cooking, at least let me shop for some of the groceries.
Yep.
Well, Coach Belichick does all the cooking, he does all the shopping. This was the one time Mr. Kraft told Coach Belichick, this is the meal that you will prepare. Mm-hmm. And Coach Belichick
now,
said, okay.
He should have told him how he's going to prepare the meal.
Because think about this, Skip. Do you actually think the Cleveland Cavaliers wanted to trade Kyrie Irving to the Boston Celtics? The team that they went 5 games with in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, you think that's what they wanted to do? But that's what gave them the best deal.
It did.
So, Coach Belichick, I get it. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to challenge Hale in Cleveland. But if the best offer is in Cleveland, or if the best offer is in Denver, or the best offer is in Miami, you take the best deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, my friend Gary Myers of the New York Daily News has reported that a source close to Bill Belichick says that Coach Belichick has his eye on the New York Giants opening, that's the only other job that he would really ever want. And
didn't he speak about that in his football life, how glowingly he spoke about the Giants?
Sure, he loved his time there. Cornerstone franchise, close with the ownership. It would be a perfect fit for him.
And they'll get out of his way.
Well, they would. So, he's under some kind, it's mysterious exactly what his contract is, but again, would Robert Kraft let him go?
No.
I don't know. He might.
Skip.
He might.
Okay, if the Oakland Raiders got 2 first-round picks and $8 million for John Gruden, you know at the time John Gruden did not have a Super Bowl on his resume. What you going to have to give up to get a guy that has 5, maybe 6 Super Bowl wins on his resume? What are you going to have to give up to get him?
What if the bridge is burned now between Belichick and Kraft, and they're just putting up the united front just to get through a playoffs that they are favored
Well,
to
if
win?
I got him under contract for 3 more years, that bridge is still standing. That bridge ain't going nowhere.
But the alternative to that bridge is that you would have to have him as your head coach going forward. If he says,
No.
staying, right?
No, he can go sit down, but he's going to have to sit down for 3 years because I'm not going to let him out. And then what team, because you got to give up compensation. If John Gruden got $100 million for 10 years, Coach Belichick about to get $250 million.
Okay.
He about to legitimately get part of a
Maybe
franchise.
he'd be worth it.
Maybe.
Yeah. He'd really be worth it if he could bring number 12 along with
No,
him.
don't worry about that.
That would be the
'Cause
problem.
He was saying, I got old Jimmy G, I'm finna go get one without number 12. And what you call him, sabotaged it. He ordered a cold red.
Yep.
You're damn right he did.
He wouldn't have number 12 or Jimmy G with him. And
That's what I'm saying. He wanted Jimmy G. He was going to win one, and Skip didn't want that. Tom didn't want that, and Mr. Kraft didn't want that. Because if he wins a championship in New England with Jimmy Garoppolo, Skip, you know what that means.
I would do it. And I say good luck.
No, ain't no good luck.
Good luck.
Now you say good luck. Now he done traded Jimmy in San Francisco.
Tom's going to go win one without him.
No, he ain't.
Yeah, he is.
No, he not.
Yep.
It's almost up.
No mercy.
this is the latest cover of The New Yorker. It features an image of Colin Kaepernick, Martin Luther King Jr., and Michael Bennett kneeling while locking arms. Kaepernick has not played in the NFL since 2016, and Bennett sat for the national anthem during the majority of his games this season. We're joined by Rob Parker. Welcome, Rob.
What's
Good morning.
happening? Good morning, everybody.
For Shannon, what are your thoughts?
Wow, it's great. And the cartoonist said he asked himself, if Dr. King was alive today, what would he do? And that's what came to his mind. I believe him. I believe that if Dr. King was alive, he would have joined in this protest. Dr. King didn't drive a bus, but he went to Montgomery. There's a lot of causes that he took up that wasn't where he was living, or it didn't directly affect him, but he took up a cause for the greater good. You see, Skip, if you just look at Dr. King in today's context, well, Michael Bennett and Colin Kaepernick, you said well, they don't belong. But if you have to look at Dr. King when he did what he did, Rosa Parks when she did what she did, a lot of white America didn't look favorably upon Dr. King. And Ms.
At the
Parks.
time.
At the time. Even some blacks. They said, hold on, Dr. King, you talk about nonviolence. They turn these water holes. They sicking these dogs. They hitting me upside my head. And you talk about we shall overcome. And you don't want me to put my hands on them? So even some in the black community was out against Dr. King. Muhammad Ali, Skip, you remember what you were a reporter at the time. You knew what he went through and how he was portrayed. And even some like, hold on, if I got to go, he should have to go too. So I love it. I think it's had a profound, I think Colin Kaepernick and Michael Bennett and some of the others that have taken this stance and used their platform in a positive way. Because remember, what they're saying is nonviolent. That's what Dr. King stood for, nonviolent. I believe in 30, 40 years from now, history will look as favorably upon Colin Kaepernick and Michael Bennett and some of the others that took up this cause as they do Dr. King, Rosa Parks, and Muhammad Ali. That is a very, very good portrait because I believe the Dr. King that I've read about would have done exactly what these two young men are doing and what they've done for the betterment of over a year and a half. So commend the New Yorker, the cartoonist. This is unbelievable. Tommy Smith, Skip, remember he went and he raised his fist for Black Power and says, hey, and he got back, he couldn't run anymore. He was ostracized. They got a statue outside of San Jose State now. So the way people are perceived today, history normally looks favorable, especially when it's viewed that they've done something positive for society. And I believe this is a positive step for American society.
Think about this. You just said it. Muhammad Ali lit the torch for this country for the Olympics in Atlanta. If you would have told somebody back then that he would represent the United States in any way after that of draft dodging or whatever you want to call it, people wouldn't believe it. I love this as well, the cartoon from this standpoint. And this is what bothers me the most about everything that's happened this year. The misinformation and the redirection of the real message. That's why Dr. King does fit with those guys, because that's really what it was about. This country was built on protest. It was on not being the status quo, and if something's not right, that you would stand up against it. So to ostracize these guys and rewrite the story and take the focus off of what really was going on is just a total injustice to what these guys were trying to do. You mentioned 1968 and the Black Lives. It's always the same thing about how terrible Black life is, to call attention to the ills of what's going on. And it has to be in a nonviolent way in order to make it happen. People went to the Woolworths counter because they couldn't get served. And they didn't tear up the place or go there with baseball bats. They sat there and waited for the cops to come and pull them out and the dogs in the water hole. Yeah. That's what they did. And they did it every day. Yeah. Every day. Until finally they got a chance for people to be served. So I'm really disappointed in a lot of people who have flipped the script.
Made it about the flag.
Made it about the flag. Made it about the military. And taking real focus off of what it's about. I commend the guys who were willing to step aside. Life is not always about getting a check. And until we get over that, just like the NFL, what they want to do, here's money. Here's money for your organizations and your special interest groups and
Foundation.
Your charities and foundations. That's all. It's always that. That's always the way to distract people from the real message and the real story that's there. So I love the cover. I think it's fitting. And I agree with you. Martin Luther King Jr. would have been involved, no doubt about it. And people didn't like him at the time. And people don't have to like Colin Kaepernick and Michael Bennett. But I stand with those guys.
Okay. So for the record, back in my childhood days in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the late 60s, I had two posters on my wall. One was Muhammad Ali, who had just, I think he was still from Cassius Clay going into Muhammad Ali, and Joe Namath, because those are the two guys who were just shattering the mold at the time. But Ali had yet to take the stance he was about to take. But he's dear to my heart for that reason. So now we come to Colin Kaepernick. I've told both of you guys, and Joy also, obviously, we've said it many times on this show, he's already gone down in history for what he's done.
Yes.
Maybe history will view it more favorably over time, but he's already had significant impact on the biggest issue facing this country that became a flashpoint issue with our last election, obviously.
Correct.
So Colin arrived. It's always about timing. He was right place, right time. Now I ask this question of all three of you, what next for Colin? Is he made of the right stuff to become a Dr. King? Can he become a full-time active activist where he dedicates the rest of his life to these causes? He becomes a spokesman for the black community. I don't know if you help me out with this, but what Reverend Jackson has been over the last...
With the Rainbow Coalition
like
in
25
years. I
25
got you.
years. Can he become that?
Skip, the thing is that Dr. King, all he did was he was a minister by trade.
Yep.
So he wasn't a professional that required part of his time. He had to study, do all this. He was a minister, and the other part of his time, he was protesting and standing up against injustices we see in America.
Okay.
I believe that the NFL has forced Colin Kaepernick. That's his only option.
Okay.
Playing professional football in the NFL.
Do you expect him to become that? Do you think he's cut out to be that guy? Because I think
do.
He could be.
I do.
If it's
he
in
chooses.
his heart.
Correct.
Only from this standpoint, we've already seen for someone to give up their livelihood,
Yeah.
and he knew that there was a chance of that, so he gave up his livelihood. And then also he gave money, his own money, to other causes. When you start to make those kind of moves, you have already done that. You've transitioned into somebody who cares about others and is willing to do the right thing regardless if it doesn't totally benefit you. And I think he's in that state.
I think he thought there was a small chance because he said, I can still play. You look at my numbers and they says, I'm not Tom Brady, I'm not Aaron Rodgers, but I see some of these other guys and my numbers are better than those because they say the NFL is a talent-based business. And when...
Not this year.
And all of a sudden we see we're luring guys out of retirement of 3 years. We're luring guys out of retirement for 6 months. And they're bypassing a guy that's thrown passes, that's led teams to a Super Bowl. He's like, now it's dawned on me. Skip, and Rob, you mentioned this. This very country was found on protest. There was something going on in Britain, Skip. Taxation without representation, freedom of religion, and all that other stuff. Instead of saying they were out, they're called founding fathers. That's what they're called. They're not radicals. They look, Dr. King, he was a radical. Malcolm X, he was a radical.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick, he was a radical. No. Because I think there should be justice for everyone. You shouldn't be treated better than me because of the color of your skin. You shouldn't get privileges. All I want is fair and equal. The Constitution said it was going to be fair and equal. Now, I know when you wrote that, you wasn't writing it for me, but you said what the Constitution says.
It doesn't say white men. It says all men.
Well, they put that in there, but there was no blacks at the table. There were no women at the table. So in actuality, they meant all men, all white men.
Yep.
But it's okay. I love this. I love this. And Skip, I've been direct messaging with Dr. King's daughter, Bernice, and we talk from time to time, and she wanted me to come down to do a forum, and I was going to be unable to attend Monday. They was going to have a symposium. But Skip, just to have that connection between Dr. I don't think, maybe she does realize that who her dad is. Make a case he's the greatest orator of the 20th century. The way he could articulate words, the way he can move.
I still get goosebumps when I hear some of his
I have a
speeches.
dream speech.
I get goosebumps.
Okay, but there's another level that needs to be achieved.
What's that?
And it's the one that Colin Kaepernick can take us to. Again, I think he has the mind and the backbone and the eloquence, the gift of gab. If he chose, he could do this. Right now, he's got power in silence, as he told one of the magazines.
Right.
You can't do power in silence.
No,
At some
not for a
point,
long. No.
You're going to have to speak
have to
up and
speak it.
speak out.
Yes.
And you're going to have to get out front of all this. Well, again, if it's coming clear, as it is to me, that he has no more NFL future, is that where we are? It's
Yeah,
what
I
it
think-
feels
But
like to me.
that's where I think Skip, at that point, once he realized, okay, I'm not a football player anymore and I'll never play again,
Right.
I think it's easier for him to then be able to take that role that you're talking about. Whereas before, I think he was still hanging on that maybe, just maybe, somebody would come to their senses and give him an opportunity.
He has the mystique. He has the platform. He's earned the credentials through this to do this. If again, I'm not trying to push this on him, but he can do this if he chooses.
No mercy. Tom Brady denied an ESPN report that there was tension between himself, Robert Kraft, and Bill Belichick. Brady said Kraft was like a second father and added that he has a great relationship with Belichick. On the field, the Patriots are set to host the Titans on Saturday, but yesterday, Brady posted this cryptic message on Instagram. Brady posted a picture of a game against the Falcons in the fog earlier in the season with the quote, "Fate whispers to the Warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The Warrior whispers back, I am the storm." Very deep stuff from Tom Brady. We're joined by Fox analyst Greg Jennings. Welcome, Greg. But first, Skip, what did you make of this?
I was very surprised Tom Brady posted this because this was the first ever glimpse he has given you publicly of what ticks inside his psyche. Because whatever ticks inside is Jordan-esque. And I don't use that term lightly. But this is what I've been trying to say for 13 years on television, that there are two Tom Bradys. The one most people see via the media is, gee whiz, aw shucks, the nice guy dad down the block who posts pictures on the internet of him playing in the autumn leaves with his kids, silly, lame pictures, and he seems kind of silly and kind of lame a lot of times in his public persona. But on the football field, on a Sunday, especially in a playoff game, somebody else emerges, and I call him Psycho Tom, but he is a cold-blooded assassin. He is a clutch killer, and he is Jordan-esque because whatever burned inside Jordan burns inside this guy, but their exteriors are completely different. And I was around Michael Jordan a lot, thank you God, when I was in Chicago, and I got to see how that worked. But the packages are so different because Michael really didn't put on any airs about it. He didn't try to fool you. He pretty much was that guy on and off the floor.
Absolutely.
And remember his Hall of Fame speech?
Yeah.
I don't think Tom Brady's going to give that kind of Hall of Fame speech. I don't know. I don't think he's going to take any shots at anybody.
Everybody
right?
seemed surprised by that speech except the people that knew Michael.
That is correct. And so he got angered, deeply angered by the ESPN piece because he did not like the way it was characterized that he celebrated the trading of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I believe they are friendly, and that angered him so deeply that he reached for a quote that means a lot to him. And I'm going to read it one more time, but fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Deep down, Tom Brady believes he is the storm. He's the bomb cyclone, and he's about to hit in Foxborough this Saturday night. And that's the guy who's driven this football team to 5 championships that were almost 6, and he's played in 7 Super Bowls. So I was pleasantly surprised he gave you that tiny glimpse into his psyche because you never get to see it.
Now Tom Brady's Confucius. Quoting, yep, this is an organization with men, Mr. Kraft, Coach Belichick, and Tom Brady, that offers you no glimpse. They never respond to anything. There have been whispers. There have been things said about them before. But they say, we just let our play speak for itself. This story struck a nerve. It struck a nerve with Tom Brady because he responded. In Deflategate, Tom Brady didn't respond to anything. This directly questioned his character.
He responded in court to
in
Deflategate.
court.
Yeah.
He didn't put nothing on Instagram.
No.
This is directly. That was directly. Now it's saying that you instigated this. You wanted Jimmy G gone.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want to compete. An organization that prides themselves on competing every single day. We get better, do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't want to do your job by competing because you wanted that young lion that was ready to take over. You wanted him gone. Skip, this struck a nerve. Tom Brady would have never, ever responded if there wasn't some truth to this story.
I disagree with that, but go ahead.
I don't.
Yeah, I think it angered him. He spoke out about it on Boston radio this morning.
Of course. Yeah. What do you expect him to say? But no, that's not Tom. All these years, there have been many, many things said about Tom Brady, and he's never, ever responded. So this is the worst thing that's been said about him. So them calling you a cheater, saying that your Super Bowls that you won was because you were cheating, that didn't anger him. Someone said that you requested your backup be traded. This angered him. Okay.
Yeah, it's not Tom, but I like it. I actually love it. I love everything about it. And when you look, you say it struck a nerve. I think it did strike a nerve because it was something different. It was really attacking his integrity as a friend, as a teammate, as a locker room mate, as a competitor. And so when you challenge me as a competitor, saying that I don't want to compete and I wanted somebody else, when I got this job because I worked my butt off and I've continued to excel and continue to make sure that I've done everything that I've needed to do to stay at an elite level, and everyone has always waited and are waiting for me to slip and fall and fail. And I guarantee when they play this weekend, everybody's going to reflect back to this if he doesn't show up and he doesn't be the Tom Brady that we've seen in years past. And I don't believe this has anything to do with it, but I think that this right here, what we saw in Tom Brady, was him saying that, look, I hear everything that everybody is saying, but who I am will never change. I am a warrior. We will get through any and every obstacle that you place in front of us. I am the warrior. I am the chief Indian, and my guys, they follow me, my lead. And if I'm not locked in, we don't have a chance. And I think this is him doing what he's done his entire career, utilizing something that's been said and spinning it to use it as fuel, additional fuel to give. When I saw him last year take the field at that Super Bowl, I remember after the game talking to him like, how in the world are you able to manipulate yourself to almost believe that you haven't accomplished all the things that you've accomplished? And it's because of things like this. He finds that one thing, and like you said, little Jordan-esque, we've never really seen him outwardly say it or express it or show it. But right here, right now, you've attacked my competitive nature, who I am as a man, and that didn't fly with Tom. And so it reminds me of something that a former teammate of mine, Aaron Rodgers, would do something similar to this to let people know, I hear you, I see you, I like this right here, I like this.
Yeah.
By the way, go ahead, Skip.
I like it that you're continuing to call out Tom Brady.
I ain't
He'll
calling-
hear about it.
Yeah,
He'll hear
I'm
about
just
it.
saying.
He doesn't watch, but he'll hear.
Oh, yeah, he here. He didn't know. I ain't calling him. I'm just saying. It's boy, to touch a nerve. I ain't do that. You stole that name. I ain't been them cookies.
Yeah.
Always blame me for something. Something gone.
Well, we know Tom's not in the cookies because it's not on the TB12 diet.
Yeah, no.
So this is, to me, the equivalent of a vow, a public vow. The storm is coming for you, Shannon Sharp.
Skip. Look, I mean, come on, Skip. I mean, Jack, they're 14-point favorite over the Titans. Really?
Yeah. Then there'll be another game, and then there'll be another
Okay.
game. Yeah.
Just like St. Nick. I mean, the best. You say the best team with the best players win.
But they don't have the best players.
Oh,
they
why
got
not?
one best player at the best position.
That's all that matters. That's what you
Quarterback.
tell
That's
me.
all you need. You know? Got that quarterback.
Yeah, I picked the Patriots.
He's rooting against
I
the
don't root
Patriots after he picked them. It's like covering your base.
I don't root against the Patriots. There's a team that I do root against. I ain't gonna call no name, but you know. I ain't got to root against them, Skip. I'm free and clear till next September.
You're off
That's
the
my,
hook.
That's my New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
You don't have Instagram, but if you have Instagram, Tom Brady is a good follow.
No mercy.
LeBron James had not lost in Minnesota since 2005, but that changed last night after the Timberwolves blew out the Cavs by 28. LeBron had a season-low 10 points, and Isaiah Thomas was ejected in the third quarter for a clothesline on Andrew Wiggins. The Cavs have dropped 5 of their last 7, and LeBron was a career worst, minus 39. But he did not want to talk about that after the game. Let's take a listen.
I won a game and had a bad plus-minus before, so what does that matter? I don't give a damn about no damn plus-minus.
Do you think anything of what played you guys tonight had anything in common with some of the other losses you've had recently?
We're just not playing well right now. That's just it.
Shannon, how concerned should the Cavs be after another loss?
LeBron got that do-rag on like a boy.
What is that?
Don't worry about it. What
I'm
it is.
asking. I don't
you
know.
You know what it is to keep his hair wavy like mine. You see the thing?
Keep it wavy or keep us from seeing what's not.
I keep that thing kicked to the side so it's fresh. Because I be laying down. I don't want no, you know. You know, my sister get her hair done. She sleep on her hands. Her hair don't touch the pillow.
You got to get a silk pillowcase.
No, he don't want that. Skip, it's not about losing. Because you know if you play basketball, it's a long, arduous season. You're going to lose some games. It's how they're losing. And they're losing. I mean, this game was over in the first quarter, Skip. And on the road, what have they lost? 7 or 9 games on the road. They got 2 more on the road. And then they go home on Dr. King's birthday to the Warriors.
Yep.
Skip, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, and Isaiah Thomas was 0 for 18 in the first half. Skip, if you got 3 starters and they go 0 for 18, you're not beating anybody, let alone a team. Now, Minnesota is starting to be what I thought they would be. I like them a lot more than you did. But Jimmy Butler is starting to come around. Karl Anthony Towns, the GM's poll, moving forward, they would take him over every other player.
Love him.
Including LeBron and Kevin Durant.
Yep.
So they got Karl Anthony Towns. They got Jimmy Butler. Andrew Wiggins, I'm still waiting for him to take that next step. I just see a guy that's very athletic, but I don't see him taking that next step.
Agreed.
They got Taj Gibson. So they go big. That's really a bad matchup for the Cavaliers because when they go with that lineup, okay, you take Kevin Love and put him on Towns.
Yep.
Who's playing Taj Gibson? That means LeBron or Jay Crowder got to play Taj. And then somebody got to play Jimmy Butler. And then who's taking Andrew Wiggins? So it's really a bad matchup for them from top to bottom.
Yep.
Skip, you got to play better than this. Their defense, Skip, I mean, you told last year they were 22nd. They next to last. Only the Kings are worse have a worse defensive efficiency rating than the Cavaliers.
And by the way, my Spurs backups won at Sacramento last night. That's how bad the Kings are.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, and Sacramento beat the. But I get stop. We ain't talking about your
Yeah, we are.
Spurs.
Yep. Just had to slip that in.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yep.
Isaiah's trying to work his way back, Skip. He hadn't played in 7 months. Isaiah's 5'9" tall. He can, and his whole game is predicated on being explosive and quick. When you're 5'9", Skip, you can't lose anything. He's not Kareem. As Kareem got older, he could still go down to the block, Magic dump it down to him, and he throw the sky hook. But when you're 5'9" and you lose your explosive and your quickness, what can you do? You're not.
Are you saying he has lost it?
No, I'm saying he's rounding back into shape. He's not 100%. So it's going to take him some weeks, maybe even some months to get back to where he's that Isaiah Thomas. But Skip, they're going to have to make a move. I know they have no assurances from LeBron that he will sign next year, but they got to make a move. The way this team is constructed right now, they would lose every game by 25 to the Warriors. That's if they get out of the East, because right now the Celtics feel very comfortable with where they are. Toronto's coming. Toronto's look good. Now, I still don't believe Toronto or the Celtics could beat them 4 times over a week and a half. But, Skip, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to move some people in order to right this ship. And right now, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't mind losing. It's just the way that they're losing. They gave up 127 points to Orlando without 2 of their best players playing. And then you give up this game. They were down by 41 at one point. The final score says by 28, but it should have been by 60. This is bad. I don't like what I'm seeing.
I hate to say this, but LeBron James is showing his age on defense, not on offense, but on defense. He is focusing all of his nightly energy on the other end. Way to go. And he's still playing at an extremely high level on offense. But the team around him is no good on defense.
Correct.
And he's the fire starter, or was the fire starter on defense. And now he has fallen in defensive win shares to 326th in the NBA out of 478 players. I'm going to say that one more time. Defensive win shares, LeBron James has fallen to 326th out of 478 players. And just to frame this with the Celtics, number 1 in defensive win shares, this is individual, Jason Tatum. Number 2 is Marcus Smart. Number 3 is Jaylen Brown. Those are all Boston Celtics, obviously.
Yes.
Number 12 is Al Horford, and number 15 is Kyrie Irving. So the Boston Celtics, the number 1 defensive team in defensive win shares, have 5 individual players in the top 15, including the top 3. Well, you can see what's happening or not happening. That they gave up, 69 points in the first half?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yes.
I mean, you can't. You're going to give up 140 for the game?
Yeah,
Really?
What did they give up? Didn't they give up like 57 Saturday to Orlando? And look, they're professional, Skip, but let's be real. Orlando's not fighting for no Eastern Conference playoff spot.
No, they're not. So in the first quarter, and I had it on opposite the National, I was trying to watch both of them at the same time. The Cavs live and die by the 3, and they can erase defensive deficiencies if they're all bombing threes. And in the first quarter, what happened? They went 1 for 10 from 3. Well, it was just predictable. They're going to fall behind 20-4, and then it was 32-18 after the first quarter, and the rout was on.
Yeah.
And LeBron's just kind of like, okay, next. And look, it is a long, hard grind, but it's what's the trend of this team right now? It just doesn't play any defense.
No.
Last year it was 22nd. At least it was 22nd. Last year, LeBron ranked 73rd in defensive win shares, so that was a lot better than 326.
And the thing is, Skip, you can have one player that doesn't play well defensively, and you can compensate. But when he doesn't play well defensively,
I agree.
Everybody else starts to stand around and watch.
He sets the tone. And in his prime on defense, he's first-team All-NBA.
Yeah, so
he
now
can guard any position.
When we look at Cleveland now, it's a layup line, dump, wide open threes. That's what they give up.
Yeah.
And
the weirdest play of the night is Isaiah Thomas, who plays little to no defense, or didn't in Boston. He did. I don't know if he's going to change his life in Cleveland, but it looked out of like just abject frustration. He just clotheslines Andrew Wiggins and gets tossed out of the game.
Andrew Wiggins was flopping.
You think he flopped him?
That man, he's like somebody shot him. I thought he was in a Western and they shot him off his horse. I mean, look how he dropped like a sack of bricks. Stop it.
Oh, that was vicious by that little man.
Now, you just said Floyd Mayweather couldn't knock anybody out, and he dropped like Canelo Alvarez hit him.
That was right in the throat, man.
Was that IT or Mike Tyson that threw it right?
I don't know. You know what? That's a good question, because they might be the same guy at that moment.
No, stop it, Skip.
Well, what was he doing? And that's so uncharacteristic of sweet little Isaiah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what was that about?
He was frustrated.
Well, he was extremely frustrated, so he's playing completely out of character.
Did you see the shots he was clanking?
I know. They're all clanking them from everywhere. LeBron's clanking free throws. Uh-oh, here he comes back.
There you go.
He's, you know.
He's 78%.
Yeah. He's hanging in there. He's
Yeah.
still got a shot.
He go on the street, get like 20 straight, be right back above 80.
I just don't know. I mean, if they're not going to commit to the defensive end any harder than they do, they're going to have a hard time beating Boston.
We about to make a power move and get DeAndre, and it's over. Like Cam said, when he got his boy back, Greg Olsen back, he said it's over for you suckers. Once we get DeAndre, it's over for all you suckers.
How'd that work out for Cam?
Well, I mean, got the playoffs. But you know, Cam ain't Bron. Bron gonna make this thing work.
Well, Cam did say that he felt like they were just happy to be there.
Yeah, they started clicking.
Yeah.
Now you know DeAndre gonna rebound every night, gonna play defense.
You realize Boston's got that big sucker in the middle, Aaron Baines.
Man, we gonna dunk on it.
Former Spur.
We gonna dunk on his head.
Australia's finest. You better be ready.
We gonna get DeAndre and watch what happens. We gonna go on like a 15-game win streak once we get him.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's going to solve all your
Solve it all.
Okay.
That's what he is. That's what LeBron is, a giant eraser.
Yep.
You white out. You remember you used to type? I used to type. I don't know. I think they got typewriters now that erase their own mistake. They do that white out.
Yeah. I got it. That you're living in the past with that, but that's okay. You're living in the past with your reference and with him being the eraser.
LeBron gonna get it all right. Don't you worry about this, Skip Bayless. We got something for you.
Well, you just acknowledge that they're in trouble on defense. I didn't say it. You started it.
Do kids
I am
even
worried
have to
about
print
the
their
Spurs.
papers anymore? Huh? Do kids even have to print their papers anymore?
Yeah,
I think you should email them in.
I want people to stop asking me for my email because I don't have email. So stop asking me for it. I do not have email, Skip.
I noticed.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.